I'm Spencer Picorni. This is my second constructive speech. Roll the ballot. You should vote in favor of the constructive because my opponent does not provide any credible opposition to either of my off-case arguments. These arguments should be extended to and be voted upon in my favor. To reiterate, I have two off-case arguments. The first being the counterpoint that nation states should properly screen refugees before taking them in. My second off-case argument is the dissent that allowing the free movement of refugees exposes nation states to the threat of terrorism, which is a credible argument as seen in my evidence from BBC about attacks in Germany and the Washington Times evidence proving ISIS as a strategy to infiltrate the refugee population. My opponent's contention to the dissent of terrorism is invalid. Her main argument is to cite the definition of refugees and to state that terrorists by definition are not refugees. While it is true that the literal definition of a refugee does not include terrorists, in terms of practicality there is no reason that terrorists cannot guise themselves as a refugee to achieve their mission of attacking Western values. Allowing refugees to move throughout borders unchecked means that countries are increasing the possibility of a terrorist entering their border. As I previously noted, the CIA stated this past year that ISIS's official strategy is to disguise its operatives among the refugee population entering the West. Furthermore, if a radical terrorist infiltrates a country like Germany again under the disguise of a refugee and attempts to attack that country, which by the way has happened, any attempt to foil the terror plot may be too little too late. Allowing open borders creates easier access to terrorists to move freely whenever they wish. Proper vetting and screening allows nations to ensure that terrorists cannot enter their country and ends the possibility of an attack by a terrorist guised as a refugee before they can even take place, not until it is too late. Now I will move on to my counterplan. As I stated in my permutation, nation states should properly screen refugees before they take them in. This plan is an effective alternative to allowing the free movement of refugees because it still addresses the refugee crisis in an effective manner by allowing refugees to seek asylum in another country while ensuring that country is keeping its citizens safe. I am not ignoring the fact that the abundance of refugees throughout the world is a pressing issue today. However, nation states need to address this issue in a proper and cautioned manner. In her definition of a refugee, she cites the article on cato.org titled Terrorism and Immigration, a Risk Analysis. This article, in fact, supports both of my off-case arguments. Here are some direct quotes from that article. Foreign-born terrorists who enter the country either as an immigrant or tourist were responsible for 88% of 3,024 murders caused by terrorists on U.S. soil from 1975 through the end of 2015. Of the 154 born terrorists identified, 10 of them were illegal immigrants, 20 were refugees, 4 were asylum seekers. This article also states the federal government has an important role in playing in screening the foreigners who enter the United States and to exclude those who pose a threat to the national security and safety or health of Americans. This is essentially my counterplan, which is stated in the evidence that she provided. Moving on, in terms of the economy, it is clear that evidence shows that refugees are disproportionately more reliant on welfare from their host countries when compared to other immigrants such as skilled migrants. The Australia example is valid. Especially early on when refugees may enter a host country, there will most likely be substantial language and culture barriers that inhibit a refugee to actively be a contributing member of a host society. My opponent cites the growth and positive aspects of accepting refugees in terms of the economy. However, when this is traded with the immense burden and cost refugees impart to a country in terms of welfare, infrastructure, and services provided, the economic benefit of accepting a large number of refugees may be minuscule or even immaterial. To sum up, the role of the ballot should be in favor of my constructive. Both my off-case arguments should be voted upon in my favor because my opponent does not provide any credible or valid contention to my points. While a refugee may not be a terrorist can disguise himself as a refugee. The time frame for this harm is immediate and the magnitude is clearly immense. Her evidence cited only supports my argument that proper screening is needed.